Hello everyone, this is Nathan Tusi with Winners Edge Trading. It's getting close to the end of the day here. It's about a little after 3 p.m. New York time. So I'm going to go ahead and do our daily review. A lot of things happening in the market, a lot of great movement, a lot of key levels holding up, a lot of levels breaking. So a lot to talk about today. I'm going to try to run through this pretty quickly, cover the important things that are actually going to be helpful in your trading. And hopefully you'll get some good ideas as in terms of how to trade, either the following day or tonight's London session, whenever you're going to be trading. First things, we're going to cover the news like we always do. When you look at here, obviously the main thing that you want to focus on is this news here. This is Australian news, and it's at 9:30 p.m. Unemployment change and unemployment rate. Two obviously similar things when you talk about change and rate. Normally these will go hand in hand, but of course the news does get weird sometimes, and you can end up with different announcements, one positive, one negative. That does happen sometimes. But either way, definitely huge news announcements. This is certainly going to affect the market if we get any kind of deviation. Alright, then tomorrow during the New York session we have a lot of other stuff. In the middle of the night we have Swiss news and pound news, also a separate Swiss announcement. So 3, 3:15, 4:30, 7, 8:30, 10 a.m. You look at this, it's just absolutely massive news. Look how many red tagged events you have from here to here. So tomorrow should be exciting to say the least. All this red tag news coming out, and then you can see that there's even more news later on in the day when you have yen and AUD news once again. Alright, so tomorrow should certainly be an exciting day of trading, and as I always say, if you're being wise and taking advantage of the opportunities, of course all of this news and all of this volatility can create a lot of profit for you. But you have to be wise. You have to use a lot of wisdom and a lot of patience in order to take advantage of those opportunities. Okay, let's go ahead and actually look at the charts here. Yesterday we talked about the euro dollar first, and we talked about, of course, the break and the level that it's been going on, and it's how it's been running away. And we had this 2-bar retracement and this bearish bar. And I remember very specifically that I suggested that after this bar here, it would probably head down and continue the downtrend. And as you can see, I was very wrong. Euro got really strong today. Was actually the second strongest pair after the the Australian dollar. Euro was very strong and has moved up. So now we've actually built a somewhat consistent base of 4 bars in a row. That have a little bit of tail and upward movement after the close. You can see even this red bar faded back to the upside slightly. So now we're actually on somewhat of a run upward for euro. We'll see if euro can maintain strength. We'll see that we're not too far away from the next fib level. It's right here, obviously. So tomorrow's bar could end up testing that level, depending on how much momentum it carries through it, and then of course the news is going to affect that as well. Euro strength is going to be totally dependent on all of the other news that comes out, in my opinion. Australian news, pound news, Swiss news, dollar news, every kind of news is coming out, and it's probably all going to affect the different currencies. Correlating with pound and euro, correlations with Australia and New Zealand, correlations with US dollar and Canadian dollar. All of the news is going to be very effective in the market. And so my general advice would be to make sure you're being very careful around the news, but also to use it to your advantage. With this almost acting as a stall bar here and a very nice bullish bar here, I would assume that euro is going to at least come up and test the next level. This level and the next fib level kind of correspond around the same price. So I would think that euro is at least tomorrow going to come up and test the next level. but of course nothing's for certain. So we will certainly have to wait and see what happens there. Okay, obviously we're getting some upward movement, but the news could change that in a hurry, and if it comes back down, there's a level under here, which will be the next level to the downside. Okay, let's look at the US yen. By the way, guys, I forgot to mention that I'm on the daily chart. I'm going to cover all of these on the daily chart because I want to give you the daily outlook. I know in my last video Mike mentioned that I did not share what time frame, so I apologize for that. I'm on the daily chart. I don't know if you can see up here where it says day 1, but that's where I'm at. And as you can see, the US yen on the daily chart, obviously in the downtrend since this peak. We had this peak up here, some topping and some falling, and it's been down and down and down. So right now we're on a 3-bar up move that is testing this level exactly at this price. Okay, so this is the level. Obviously, this trend line is very strong. We see, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe you count these as 6 and 7, and then you have the 8th test of this line. So this is a major resistance level, this downtrend line, and depending on how you trade, you either could put a short order in right at the level, which would probably enter you in the trade right now, or if you're like me, you always like to see follow through and continuation, and you're going to wait for an actual bearish bar in the other direction going this way. Either way, you're going to trade based on this level. Now, one thing to keep note of is that though this level has certainly showed some power by rejecting price all this time, a lot of people will teach you that the more a level is tested, the weaker it gets because it keeps testing it, and eventually it's going to break right through it and go to the upside. So, of course, there's no way of telling when that time is going to be, but you do have to be careful about that. I still am pretty bearish on US yen overall. I've been saying that since this trend kind of started that I expected it to go ahead and come all the way back down to the previous base before the run. So those are still my expectations. Perhaps we'll get a rally up higher, maybe even centered back to the 50 Fibonacci level before it goes back down. But my feeling is still that eventually this is going to go back down to the 76 base level. All right, either way, whether you agree with me or not, make sure that you're keeping your eye on this level because it's going to create a good short opportunity if it does turn around. If it doesn't turn around, then maybe you change your mind about it. But for now, if you get a bearish bar here, it's probably going to be a good short opportunity to at least come down and touch this 77 area. Okay, that's the US yen daily chart. Great daily bar today because the yen showed weakness, but tomorrow is a new day, new news, of course, and we'll see what happens there. All right, pound dollar, we called this yesterday. If you watched my trading video yesterday, you know that I highlighted this level, and I said to look for a break out of the top of this zone. Obviously, we got a break. This candle is a very strong candle and broke this level with a lot of authority. So considering that this pound dollar is a pretty sideways market over the recent history, obviously you see the zigs and the zags. The common, tendency for price right now would be to go ahead and come back up to the top of this level, or at least somewhere in this range, and complete the sideways market. But then at the same time, you have to remember that all sideways markets come to an end, and eventually it's going to start, it's going to start trending and get out of the sideways market, and so you don't want to be, stacking longs when this is going to reverse and all of a sudden, be a downtrend. So of course you have to be careful about that. That's why we take entries with stop losses. That's why we use trade management so that we don't get hurt if we are wrong. Obviously, one of the critical components to being a successful trader is understanding that you're going to be wrong some of the time, but that you're still going to be profitable. That's critical, and you have to have that as a trader. So in a situation like this, where I'm going to be taking a long, my entry is going to be at the top of the candle here. My stop loss is either going to be here, or I'm going to switch to a 4-hour and tighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to target in the middle of this range, or use a trailing stop. Probably a trailing stop is more likely for me because I like to take advantage of any profit potential that I can. For instance, if it comes all the way to the top of this range, I don't want to settle for a target profit all the way down here when I could have had twice as many pips. For instance, if you're targeting, well, let's do this. If your stop loss is right here, and that's 2% of your account, right? You're risking 2% here. Well, this all the way to this range is going to be about 6 times that amount. So that's a 12% trade of your account, which is obviously very large. But even at 12%, you'd be kicking yourself if it came all the way up to here, because that would have been 24% of your account. And 24% of your account is a pretty massive trade. Obviously, if you hit a 24% trade, that gives you a lot of room to be wrong a few times in the future. And I know that a lot of people will say, oh, 24%, that's completely unreasonable to target. And it might be unreasonable to target, but it's not unreasonable to have a chance at if you're trailing your stop and taking profit potential. Many of you guys know Tony College. He is our support agent. He's the director of the support at Winner's Edge Trading, and he's up. I don't know how much he's up now because he's short on the euro yen and it retraced, but he was up over 25% of his account on a single trade. So if you think that it's impossible to get 24%, just call support, talk to Tony. He'll let you know that it's possible. Okay, so that's what happens when you take advantage of markets that are moving with momentum. All right, that was pound dollar, of course, the daily chart. AUD dollar is an awesome daily chart because we had a massive momentum bar. If you guys watch the charts at all today, you know that Australia has been the most strong currency. We had a double bottom and then an absolute explosion to the upside. Casey was long on AUD yen, not AUD dollar, but you'll see when we get to AUD yen that the same thing. So Casey's account is up 5 or 6% on this single trade with the AUD yen, which I'll show you. But that is a great looking trade. Very large momentum, obviously, with Australian dollar. You can see that this bar is bigger than almost any of the other bars on the chart. Now, one thing to note is that there's a little bit of a base here from chop, and then it corresponds with this base, and then also, let me scroll back here a little bit, also this point. So definitely some resistance here, but as you know in the market, if a certain currency gets some momentum, resistance levels all of a sudden become very unimportant. Okay, so I'm not saying that AUD isn't going to struggle at this level, but if this momentum is for real and Australia really is gaining back some of its older strength that it was carrying for a while, I can tell you that this level won't be any problem for it if it maintains that momentum. All right, so great bursting momentum bar here. To me, this means indicative of higher prices, but that is yet to be determined. And of course, I'm not ready to trade that yet because a lot of news could turn around and change that very, very quickly. So that's what we're waiting for. All right, that's Australian dollar daily chart. US dollar Canadian was another great daily bar, which we talked about yesterday. I think I actually had some comments about the USD CAD and this double top being ready for some lower prices. And if anyone went short with this double top bearish bars, then you're in a lot of money right now because you could have had a very tight stop and an absolutely exploding daily bar. Just great bar. Again, you're of course going to run into some resistance levels because of all the the lower lows that this thing made on its way down to make this trend. But again, I mean, that's the funny thing about trading. Sure, the levels are important. Yes, the levels hold up and can even make you money. But at the same time, once you get a pair moving, if it wants to get down to parity at this 1.0 level, the levels don't mean a thing. That thing's just going to cruise right through. So that's the funny thing about trading. But you know as well as I do that if you get on the right side of the market during one of these cruises, that it can make you a lot of money in a hurry. Okay, so as of now, it looks like Canadian dollar is also gaining strength. It's going to revert back to this trend that it was going to. If it does that, short side is obviously the side of the market that we want to be on. Okay, that is US dollar Canadian, and obviously pretty close to ending this bar. Things are looking pretty good for a USD CAD short as far as I'm concerned. But once again, as you'll hear me say 10 more times during this daily review, you got to watch out for the news. That could change everything. Okay? New Zealand dollar, once again, another resistance level that really held up. I drew this line yesterday and showed just a very strong support level here. As you can see, we had this W base forming, and it was certainly completed today. New Zealand gaining back some of its strength. Obviously, the US dollar weakness helped this, but you can see if I zoom in here. Let's get it really zoomed in here. Okay, let's just take a look since about May 15th or 16th to today. We can see something very obvious by looking at this. By just looking at this section here, we can see something very obvious. Price is struggling, right? You might not know which way it's going to break out or anything like that, but you can tell one very obvious thing. Based, this. That lets you know that price is struggling. The bears are not in control here, and the bulls are not in control here. When you have a market that is this choppy, we call it a knife fight sometimes, you can be sure that this base is either going to provide a launching pad or it's going to be smashed through. Either way, price is going to move in one of these directions eventually with some serious authority, because for a market to remain a market, it can't just chop around forever. It has to move in one definite direction and then chop around and then move in another definite direction. It can't either just chop or trend forever in one direction or the other. Okay, so once you start seeing this indecision, oh, it's bearish, oh, it's bullish, bearish, bullish. Once you start seeing this, you have to know that the market's going to break out in one direction or the other. And another thing to note is that we've had a lot of wimpy, taily, doji bars, but we've also had a lot of strong bars. So it's not just a whole bunch of flat movement. It's actually significant power bars, but they're just in a fight. They're not moving in one definite direction or the other. So today we had a power bar, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going up, okay? Because this power bar might, be the biggest bar yet, but it's not much above this level, and it's definitely not much above this level, okay? So tomorrow could be another bearish bar and a continuation of what we see here with these, three big bars. So do not think that just because New Zealand dollar had a very strong bar that it's headed back up all the way to its previous channeling level. Whoops. That's not set in stone. This could be just a continuation of these powerful choppy bars. Now, I said all that just to say that you have to be careful, and I don't want to say do something. As the daily review, it's just an idea of what the analysis and what technical stuff is pointing out. The idea here is not to tell you what to do with your money in any scenario, but this is a market that looks to be due for a breakout. This chop around, it's been going for a little while. New Zealand and dollar are both pairs that like to move and that are ready for a move. So this bar shows a lot of power, and it is a little bit higher than these previous highs here. If we get continuation, depending on news and everything else like that, there's going to be a lot of factors. If we get continuation to the upside, it'll probably chop or do its thing. But I am fully expecting the New Zealand dollar to come back to this channeling level. Okay? Excuse my hideous drawing, but this is what I'm expecting. To me, all of this movement, all of this chop, all of this level is basically like a black hole for price to come back. Okay, now I'm going over the top with my drawing here because I'm really trying to demonstrate that for me, I think that price is going back in this direction. Okay, I think that this level here around this chop is like a vacuum sucking price, and if New Zealand can continue any kind of that momentum to gain back some of its strength, I think we're definitely going to see price at least come back and test the bottom of this level. All right, so what I would like to suggest is that you keep an eye on New Zealand dollar. You watch very closely to see how price reacts after a big bar, because if you notice, it's been a very long time since New Zealand dollar has seen a large bullish bar and then continued that. You can look back and see in this chop that there's not a lot of times that happening. Obviously, this bar was rejected, and so was this one. So if this bar is followed through with another New Zealand momentum bar, I believe personally that that's going to be a good sign for price to head back up and test these levels up in the 81 area. Okay? Sorry for that long drawn out assessment. I just wanted to kind of explain what I was thinking there and let you know kind of what my situation is in that situation. Okay, that brings us to Euro Pound. Obviously, Euro Pound is in a massive downtrend. However, we are starting to try to build some kind of upward base. Who knows if this is actually going to provide any kind of authority, but as you know today, Euro definitely gained some strength. Along with that, Pound gained some strength, but obviously Euro ended up winning in the end of the day because we have a bullish bar, not a bearish bar. That said, we do have to be careful because even though this is a small base and it hasn't been very well tested, these levels can still come into play. So you might want to watch it. If price gets up in this region, it might be due for a bounce back into the middle or even at the bottom of the channel. Okay, so keep that in mind. Euro Pound is not a pair that I really am too interested in trading right now, because with Euro and Pound doing a lot of volatility, I don't want to pair them together. I'd rather pair them with other currencies. You know, Pound New Zealand, Pound AUD, EURCAD, Euro AUD, Euro Dollar, Euro Swiss, Pound Swiss. You get my point. I want to pair these two currencies, Euro and Pound, with other currencies, not with each other. All right, that's Euro Pound daily. Let's move to Euro Yen, which is the pair that I mentioned Tony was short on earlier. I don't know where Tony got short. I'm trying to see the price. He got short somewhere way up here, and so he is up, you know, a large amount of pips. Obviously, that's why he's up so huge. And right now, the Euro Yen is on a massive retracement. As you can see, this Euro Yen is just a monster bar because Euro got really strong today and Yen got pathetically weak. So that creates for a serious movement. Now we have 4 bars in a row, a bottom, a strong candle, a bottom, and another massive candle. So Euro Yen is basically rallying for a huge up move. My personal opinion is that it might be a fake out. I don't know if I can trust that Euro is really going to rally against Yen, because Yen has a lot of strength left in it, in my opinion, and I don't think we've seen the end of the Yen strength. Now, we do have a little while before we run into a Fibonacci level, so that's not comforting if you're short on Euro Yen on a long-term perspective. However, we are running into a major resistance level if you consider previous price right here, okay, in this area. That is a pretty big level. So we might see a significant bounce and a continuation of the downside. But depending on news and everything else, we could see just a massive rally up to way higher prices. I think Tony has locked in profit right around this resistance level, so if it goes up much farther, he'll probably get stopped out with a 20-some% gain, which is not bad, I guess, for a single trade. But I think he was close to like 30-some% or 40-some% even before this rally. Either way, a pretty good trade. With that said, Euro Yen providing a lot of movement, and obviously anytime you see something that looks like a just massive V, it normally means that there's some momentum headed up, and it's going to get, it's going to continue maybe halfway through or to the previous high. Who knows how high price can go when you have something that has gone this low and has this much room to move. You provide yourself with kind of a range for movement in this area. Who knows what it'll do? That is actually a good thing. It sounds, when you say, oh, who knows what the currency is going to do, it sounds like a negative thing, like, oh, don't even trade this, who knows what's going to happen. But realistically, it's actually a great thing, because when you don't know what price will do, you don't know how high it will go or how low it will go, that gives you opportunities to trade with great risk-to-reward ratio. Because if you're at a key level and you say, man, I certainly don't know if price is going to go up 1,000 pips or crash through 2,000 pips, I have no idea. Well, what that lets you do is wait, make up your mind, and then go in the direction that you want to with, a 50 pip stop loss and a 1,000 pip target. If that's not a great opportunity, I don't know what is. I mean, that's what makes traders wealthy. 50 pip stop losses and 1,000 pip targets is what really makes you wealthy. Casey closed out his pound-dollar trade. If any of you are on the copier, you know that it was over a 10% trade. His stop loss on that trade was like 55 pips, and he hit like 375 pip target. I know that on a $10,000 account, his trade was like $1,100. And if you can make $1,100 on a $10,000 account and not risk that much, you're in really, really good shape. I know that he risked 1% on that trade. So if you think about risking $100, you have $10,000 of capital, you risk $100, and you close out the trade for $1,100. I mean, you can see that is how you build wealth, ladies and gentlemen. That is serious wealth building technique right there. And so when the market is moving like it is right now, and going all over the place, and you have no idea how high price can go or how low price can go, these are the opportunities that we need to take advantage of. A lot of times we look back over the market and say, wow, I wish I would have known what the market was going to do at that time. I wish I would have known how far it could go. That's what happens when you look at the market in hindsight. But we need to recognize right now that we're in a market that can do anything. We're in a market that could move 1,000 pips in a blink of an eye. When you come to realize that's the kind of market you're in, you really open up your eyes to profit potential, and that's what we need to be doing as traders. Make sure that you are not, under this mindset that the market is, you have to wait for the trends to start. You have to wait for the movement to begin. If your mindset is always, oh, I just got to wait for a good market setup, then you're going to miss the times when it isn't a good market setup. And I will tell you right now that the market is moving right now in a way that can really, really make you a lot of money. Okay, so make sure that you know that. Make sure that you're not settling for 10 and 15 pip targets when you could be entering small time frames and actually be looking for daily or weekly follow through. People say that the key to trading is minimizing risk and maximizing reward. And though I wrote an article on how that's technically impossible, it's a mathematical error, there is truth to being able to tighten your stop loss, not give yourself massive risk exposure, and still take the market for all it's worth. And that's the key to trading success. That's why Casey's account, even after making a mistake where he dropped himself down 11% on a single trade, which was a bad mistake and really hurt his account, he's all the way back up to break even after just another week of trading because he's taken advantage of these pip runs. So a lot of good opportunities. Please take advantage of them. Wow, that was quite a rant. Okay, let's get back to business. Pound yen, same old story. I'm not even going to really go over anything here. Another resistance level that held because pound was strong and yen was weak. That's all there is to it. Follow through is significant. If pound maintains momentum, this is going to be a massive move and a good opportunity to take advantage of. All right, that's all there is to that. EUROAUD is one I want to look at because there's a significant level here. This is the 50 Fibonacci level combined with this massive resistance level. Price has been tested here. Price has been tested over here. Great level. Showed resistance, small retrace, and we had this bar yesterday, which I said looks like an awfully good trend continuation setup. That's what we showed here. So make sure that you know that EUROAUD is looking towards trend continuation. Okay, if euro was as strong as it is today and still went down against the odd, you know what that means for the odd. That means the odd is kicking some butt. Okay, So you want to be long on AUD when AUD is rolling like it is right now. Obviously, if you're short on EUROAUD, that means you're long on the Australian dollar. And I would highly advise you to be long on the Australian dollar when it's moving like it is today. Now, obviously, we don't know what that means for tomorrow, but we had some good news for Australia, and it sure did follow through with that. This is showing some serious signs of trend continuation. Obviously, there's a lot of levels here to break on the way down, but looking really nice. Okay, so make sure that you're paying a lot of attention to the Australian dollar pairs. Okay. EuroCAD is kind of the same story, except for that the CAD got a little, or was a little less strong than the AUD, I should say. Euro, CAD, and AUD were all strong today, so that's why you're not seeing a ton of movement in any of them. But the CAD was slightly weaker than the Australian dollar, which means that it didn't push the euro down very much. As a matter of fact, the euro maybe was up a few points on the AUD. But this is the same story as EUROAUD. Great trend bounce. Looks to be trying to continue this trend that we're in right now. Obviously, what you want to pay attention to is the previous low. Okay, so this is your previous low on this trend. If this shows follow through, that's your expectancy to at least go to the previous low, and then hopefully to make a new low somewhere down here. Okay, so that's the EuroCAD. See, it's bearish right now, so obviously very close to a break-even day between the euro and CAD. Very similar strengths today. And as always, I like to finish up showing you. Oh wait, let me show you the AUD again, because this is Casey's trade. This was a phenomenal trade by Casey. Now, I don't like to pat Casey on the back too much because he's my boss, and I can't let him think that he's that great. But this was a phenomenal trade. He saw this tail here and told me ahead of time that there's going to be a good setup here. And I knew that, this is obviously counter trend, so we want to be careful of these trades. But this key level, which you can see here, spoke volumes to Casey. And he said, listen, I'm not going to take the trade now because I don't want to take it without any follow through, but this thing is going up. And I kind of disagree with him. I said, I don't know, I think that might be just a fake to kind of get some people in long so that it can crush them and come back down here. But obviously I was very wrong. I was too caught up in the yen strength at the time to be even thinking about shorting yen, which is what taking a long on odd yen would be doing. But Casey got in right at the top of this candle, and then it was followed up, as you can see, with this smaller candle. And even after that little candle, I was saying, Casey, this is just a little chop. It's just like this. It's just like this. It's just like this. It's just like this. This thing is going to get reversed on. I totally disagreed with the trade, but he said, well, listen, I have my profit locked in on break even. Let me scroll this over and get it out of the way from my ugly drawing. He said on break even, and I'm confident that this thing's going to go up. He was confident the odd news was going to continue to follow through and be positive. And as you can see, he had a monster bar today, so that's why he's up like 5% on this trade, because he had almost an 80 pip bar in a single trade. And entering here, his stop loss was, let me see. His stop loss was 60 pips or so. And by the way, this bar was 150 pips, or 180 pips, not 80 pips. I don't know why I said 80. It's 180 pips. So 180 pips plus this bar, another 50 pips or whatever that was, with a stop loss of 60 pips or so, is obviously a very good trade. And again, that's getting back to what you can do when you look at the profit potential of these markets. These markets can explode at any time, and when you recognize that you're in a market with a lot of volatility and a lot of room for movement, you can really take advantage of that. Okay, so that's what happens when you take advantage of that, and that's what Casey did on this trade, and obviously that's working out for him very nicely, because he's up 5%. He has like 4% locked in. And if this trade continues to go up, who knows how high it could go up. I mean, if it comes up and tests like in this level, I mean, he's going to be up 20% on the trade. Now, I'm not expecting that to happen, obviously, but the point is that the profit potential is there. The Forex market gives you so much profit potential, especially when the market is moving like it is today. And not just today, but lately. So you got to take advantage of that. Very good opportunities to take advantage of, and Casey did that. If you're following him on the Catapult Pro product, you should be up 4 or 5%, well, probably at least 5% on this trade. So great opportunity. If you're not following Casey on the Catapult Pro, make sure you check that out. It's a great service. We had a one rough week recently because of a mistake that was made on the copier, and so we're still, I guess, technically fighting back from that. But we're really confident in the service. It's a great service, and Casey has just been really consistent with his trading lately, even including the one mistake. He's at a positive range for the past week and a half or so since that time. Okay, so check that out. It's really valuable, and it is definitely a good way to invest in the Forex market. Lastly, let's look at Pound New Zealand. As we said, this is a time that I've been saying get ready to short Pound New Zealand for however long. I don't even know how long. But obviously that time came, and as you can see, this is that perfect V pattern that we talk about. And so that obviously is going to, lead us to believe that it's heading down even more. Pound New Zealand, like we always like to note, moves like crazy. So today's bar, let me see, was about 190 pips, and it wasn't even, as big a bar as, for instance, we had on the odd yen in terms of the other bars on the chart. This is like, an average size bar, and it's 180 pips. So all New Zealand cruising down. Obviously you expect to have some stalling out here eventually, but for now things are looking very bearish for the Pound New Zealand, and it is a great opportunity to jump in short if you get a retrace or something that leads you to believe that it's going to be trend continuation. Anytime that you can get on the Pound New Zealand in the right side, you're going to be in for a lot of pips, and we certainly encourage a lot of pips. Okay, that is it for my daily review. I hope this was really beneficial to you. As always, please leave comments or questions or anything below the video. I will be checking those and commenting back and answering any questions. And hopefully you found this really valuable. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Good luck with your trading, and make sure that you are wise and using a lot of careful judgment and responsibility, trade management, all those good things, and take advantage of these markets. All right, talk to you soon.